kicking up the sound, so I did turn the microphones on that are plugged in. I said don't mess with them, but I...
Probably the kids, they come and do it. So yeah, good.
Okay.
No, as long as he works, he has no problem.
Great.
You don't have if you want to participate, and I don't see I'm sure you can remember that.
Romy, this is Josh, I'm Debbie, this is Ashley.
But I do see. I also so you can stand if you want. That's what I don't want to spend all time.
Well, any son would be a fast son.
You usually slow me down.
I know.
On that one.
Yeah.
No, I'm very
I'm not playing the banjo. One of the banjos in my hand, every song has to be a fast
But I hear you behind me
song.
slowing
But
down.
for not the banjo, there are slow songs.
I'm Debbie.
You ready? You good? I think we're on. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom to all who are joining us in person. Shabbat Shalom to all of you who are joining us streaming. If you're with us in person, we are in the Blue Book. If you are joining us online, again on our CABI website, you will find a link to the online version of Sidur Mishkan Tefillah, and you can follow along with us there. We're going to begin with Ki Eshmara Shabbat. This is from a poem by the medieval Jewish poet Abraham Ibn Ezra. When I keep Shabbat, Shabbat will keep me. It's on page 129 in your page 130. Elohim. Shiranai Shirkata, Shiranai Kolaretz, Shiranai Baruch Hu Shemo, page 132. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exalt. Let the sea all within it thunder. Let the fields and everything in them exalt. And shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, who is coming to rule the earth justly and its peoples in faithfulness. Page 133. Mizmor Shiru Adonai Shiratash Kimiflaus Asra Hoshiyalo Yemino Uzero Azroa Kosh Holy Adonai Yeshuato Lele Hagoyim Yevazikato Zahar Kasto Nato Leit Yisrael Baruch say Arves, and Yeshua Elohim, Yaelai Ariu Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Yitzu Be'rananu Zaru Ladonai, Ve'inor Ve'kol Zimra, Ve'chad Zufrot Ve'kol Shofar, Ariu Lifnei Adonai, Yiram Hayam, Ubeloho, Te'evel, Ve'yosheva, Yai Narod Yetuha, Yaharim, Yirameinu, Lifnei Adonai, Yishvot Tzedek, Ve'amin Ve'Sharim, Yai Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Page 138, Lakazodi, we welcome the Shabbat bride. Shama Rise at the table for our food, 264. 265. Ma'arivaravi. Dad, are you playing?
Yeah, also the rest of the service I was losing track.
Go into dark, go into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Go into dark, go into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Go Yom Balayla Golel Orifnei Chosha Golel Orifnei Chosha V'chosha Mifnei Chosha. Go into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Baruch atah Adonai, Amarivarami. 266. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, Ahavat Torah u'mitzvot u'kibud mishpatim odhanu v'imageta. Al Kei Adonai Eloheinu b'shofeinu v'kumeinu nasiach v'chukecha v'nishma v'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahenega yomam v'layla ve'avatam t'asem mimenu olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. 267. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Lai, 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 lai,
Yeah. Let me put them in.
You shall love with all of your heart, your soul, and with all of your mind. You shall teach your children to love and to know what is right. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. It's 268. Ve'afra Adonai Elohecha, v'chol ba'cha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol me'odecha, ve'hayu ha'dvarim ha'ele, asher Elohim esavecha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinatam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha v'beitecha, u'lechtecha ha'derech, u'shofrecha u'kumecha, u'shartam le'ot al yedecha, ve'hayu tovatot be'nimecha, u'chaftam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'yisharecha. Leman tizkeru v'asiftem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, v'hiyot lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Amen. Hashkivenu, a prayer for peace. Me about page 207.
Adonai,
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Yaakov from a hand stronger than his own. Baruch atah Adonai Ka'al Yisrael. Page 271.
There be love and understanding
Among us, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Wash me
Baruch atah Adonai, Aforei Sukkah Shalom, Malin Yarkol Amo Yisrael, Yal Yerushalayim. V'hishameru v'nei Yisrael, et ha-Shabbat, Lasot et ha-Shabbat, Doronam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, odi leolam, leolam. Yishem yamim asarunai, et hashamayim be'et haaretz. Ubayom Hashemi Shabbat Vayimachal. Rise as able for Tefillah, beginning page 273. Adonai Sefatai Tiftach
Ufia gita hilatecha.
Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Eloheinu Eloheinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaMara, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh HaKol, Vezoker HaSe'avot V'imahot, Umevi Golalim B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Mashiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayim Hikmet HaRatoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayim Beitim Berachamim Rabim, Zomech Noflim Verafech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umechayim Be'emurato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Al Piturot, Umido Melech, Melech Me'mit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, Manat Hayot Metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMetim. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, Kadoshim B'chol Yimloch Hasalah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Continue on our own through page 282, the Hebrew, the English, or your own heart's prayers and meditation. Hold on.
Say shalom, prayer for peace.
Shalom Brahma, say shalom Aleinu.
Shalom
So, Simodimanach Nulat, we give thanks for joyful things in our lives, big things, life cycle events, small things that we're grateful for along the way. So I'll invite anybody who has things they are grateful for. Then.
My beautiful and very intelligent daughter-in-law successfully defended her thesis in Chinese history and got a distinction, whatever that means, because I've never heard of that. And I've been in academia all my life. And this was last week, because we didn't meet last week. And we're very proud and happy.
Mazel tov.
Now, the problem is her dissertation subject was women who kill their husbands.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful that my brother survived the defense.
Andrea?
I've got my nephew visiting here this week from Chicago, and he's a blessing anytime I'm around.
Well, Adam.
A very nice Pesach and my first as a Jew.
All right. Mazel tov. I was especially grateful for that first beer and pizza last night.
I had the beer, but I had the pizza.
It was amazing. So I went to a Pesach and we had about 20 Moroccan Jews there, and it was Moroccan food and Moroccan traditions, and it was just amazing. And I can't believe in Boise we have a little small Sephardic community. It was great.
The Rockin' Moroccans. It's yes.
I got a job offer for a pretty prestigious chaplaincy position.
Where?
We're figuring it out.
Okay. All right. Congratulations.
We had a wonderful visit with our son and his family, and we had a terrific Seder with our daughter and her family.
We have two celebrations in our family this week. Jonah turns 18 tomorrow, and Rachel's senior art exhibit opens tonight. And I'm in a bit of disbelief that we have reached this milestone. I'm feeling enormous gratitude.
So for all these things that we celebrate in our lives, we say Modimanach Nulat. Give thanks to you, Creator, Sustainer, Source of life. May we go from strength to strength, and may we offer our abundant gratitude for your many blessings along the path. Misha Bear, prepare for healing. Anybody who has people who you are holding close for healing, if you would like to share their names.
Alan Salford, John Holmes, Long,
Gail Spicer, my daughter Elizabeth.
My friend Jeff.
Davina Jabenisted.
Paul Frank.
Lexi Bonnie.
Native Ware. Happy
Sunny
for these and for all who were holding in our prayers for healing, you can join along in Mishaberach. Sandy's gonna lead us. 371. Middle of the page.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Be'erach, Imo
healing of body and soul and spirit be with all who are in need. So, if you ever wanted to know whether or not you can eat a rock badger, this week's portion is the one for you. Shmini contains the primary categories of biblical kashrut. What is kosher according to Torah, which does not include lots of things that later the rabbis add on, separation of milk and meat and dishes and kosher slaughter. None of that is in Torah itself. What we do have is a list of what animals we can and cannot eat. But of course, there are millions of kinds of animals, of creatures in the world, and Torah can only hold so much. So the list that it gives us is really just a starting place. There are so many species, 99% of species that exist in the world, 99% plus, are not mentioned in the Leviticus passage in Shmini. So to know whether things are kosher or not, when they're not included specifically in the list the Torah gives us, we need some criteria. But after all, did the rabbis know about kangaroos? So, we get criteria. For sea creatures, we can eat anything that has both fins and scales. For mammals, an animal is kosher to eat if it chews its cud and it has a split cloven hoof. And for insects and reptiles, they're basically all not kosher except for certain species of locusts and grasshoppers. But birds are more complicated. They pose a problem because the list of birds described in the passage is relatively short. And unlike with mammals and sea creatures and reptiles and insects, with birds, there is no criteria given, just the list of birds that are permissible and birds that are forbidden. So we know from the list that chickens and doves are in. We know that ostrich and osprey are out. But the list does not say anything about, for instance, turkeys, which are now a very popular part of the Israeli diet. They are not mentioned either way. They're a New World bird, and Torah didn't know of them. So what do we do with all the birds that are not mentioned as either in or out? The rabbis have to apply some Talmudic principles to look at what seems to underlie the categories the Torah gives, though not explicitly so. And they note that, in general, birds of prey and scavengers are the ones that are not kosher to eat. So hawks, eagles, vultures, all of these raptors are out. Domesticated fowl, chickens, geese, ducks are all kosher. Peacocks, I don't know. I don't know the answer. Does anybody eat peacock? Do people eat peacocks?
Well, yeah, well, they used to in the medieval times, they like, I think a few do, not many.
Okay, so.
But it's not so popular now.
So I don't know the answer on peacocks. Have to do a little research on that one. But essentially, based on the list, they rule out birds of prey. But in the biblical listing, there is one bird that is not kosher, that doesn't stand out like all the other non-kosher birds. It's not a bird of prey. It's not a giant bird like an ostrich or an emu, and that is the stork. The stork is neither a predator nor is it a scavenger, and yet Torah explicitly tells us that it is not kosher to eat. So why, our sages have wondered, why can't we eat stork? There is not a rational scientific answer to these questions. They're not rational scientific categories. But the rabbis note that the Hebrew word for stork, as described in the passage, is chasidah. And chasidah comes from the word chesed. And chesed means loving kindness. It is abundant, unconditional love. It is unequivocally, chesed, a very good thing. And so, Talmud asks, why is the stork called chasidah? And they say in the Talmud, because it is exceptionally kind and generous to others in their families and others in their flock. They share their food with one another. They take care of one another's babies. They take care of the elderly amongst them. So given all these lovely things that we can say about the chasidah, about the stork, why is it not among the more sacred kosher birds? Why is it found with the scavengers, the dirty or cruel birds, as the rabbis understood them? And so the commentators wrestle with this question, and they come to a conclusion. And they say that while Talmud teaches that they are fine and good with their own kind, they are not so kind, but rather they are cruel and confrontational with other birds not of their own species. Now, I have no idea whether this is actually true of storks. I'm not sure about the rabbis' ornithology and how observant they were. But it's a powerful midrashic parable that they offer us here. Probably says more about us than it does about storks. The commentators offer here as a warning to us as Jews that it is not good enough for us to take care of our families, of our friends, of our fellow Jews. Otherwise, we are like the storks. But rather, as Hillel says, it is good to be for ourselves. If we're not, who will be for us? But if we are only for ourselves, as the storks in the rabbinic imagination are, what are we? Not who, but what? Something less than fully human. If you have not yet seen it, it is worth going to the Boise State Library to see the exhibit on Americans during the Holocaust, which raises important questions about who are we for as Americans? Who are we for as Jews? And on the opening night of that exhibit, I gave a talk and afterwards, as always, had questions. And someone asked, what can we do about anti-Semitism? How do we fight anti-Semitism? And I offered a number of suggestions: support organizations like the Anti-Defamation League, organizations that fight anti-Semitism, do our work to educate Jews. And then I said, but for me, most important of all is to stand up for others. To stand up not just to anti-Semitism, but to anti-gay and anti-trans legislation. To stand up to racism, to stand up to misogyny, to stand up to Islamophobia, to stand up to all kinds of hatred, because as the Reform movement's great social justice activist of the 20th century, Al Vorspan, once said to me at a dinner when we celebrated 100 years of our congregation, if you want friends, you have to be a friend. If you want others to speak up for you, then we must speak up for them. It is our calling to not be storks, but rather to be mentioned, be true, full, compassionate human beings, to care for others as we care for our own. Because being allies is not just the right thing to do for them. There's also a powerful way of caring for ourselves as well as for our world. In Yiratzon as we concluding portion of our service, we rise as able for Aleinu, the middle of page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'adekenu l'yoseh bereshit, shelo asakageh haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sakagenu ha'er, וגור עלינו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום Vayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad.
We think of our loved ones, those whose death is taken from us. We think of those who have died at this season in years past. We think of all those we have drawn into our hearts together with our own. Now invite anyone who has names of people who you are holding in memory, those whose yard sites fall in recent days, those who have died recently, to speak the names.
Jerky.
I know his last name is Murphy, Victoria's father.
Clifton Murphy and father Victoria Kostenko and Carol Berger, mother of James Brown.
Richard Desbeck.
Bruce Smackey.
For these and for all who we hold close, I invite the mourners and all whose custom it is to rise. Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Rabbah, Yalmad, Yirach, Yirteh, Yamlif, Malchuteh, B'chayei Chol, B'yomei Chol, B'chayei B'chol Beit Yisrael, B'agalah, B'zman Kariv, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, M'barach, Le'olam, L'omei Omayim. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitlabar, V'yitruman, V'yitnaseh. Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shemei Kedusha, Terichu, Le'elam, Mikol, Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbachata, V'nachmata, Amiran B'Yamav B'Yeru, Amen. Yehi Shalom Rabba Mishmaya, Chayim Aleinu B'Yokol Yisrael B'Yeru, Amen. Osei Shalom B'Romav, Uyasei Shalom, Aleinu B'Yokol Yisrael B'Yeru, Amen. And Lord who makes peace on high, let peace descend on us, on all Israel, and all the world. May comfort you with all who mourn. Let us say, Amen. Seated. So during this time, when we move from Pesach to Shavuot, from going out of Egypt to standing at Mount Sinai, we count the days, counting the Omer. We thereby link the freedom that comes with Pesach with the responsibilities, the obligations that come with Shavuot. So page 507. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Hayom tisha yamim shehem shavua echad u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is the 9th day, 1 week, and 2 days of the counting of the Omer. So a couple of announcements. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, our Shabbat morning service. As always, we'll continue after our concluding song with Kiddush across the way. Guests, people here for the first time in a long time, however you see it. If you want to introduce yourselves or have somebody introduce you.
This is my nephew, Josh Bradley.
Who we know is here from Chicago.
Yes.
Rowan?
My name is Rowan.
Welcome. Other? Welcome. Yeah. Okay. Invite everybody to join us after our last song, which will be on page 625. Adon Olam. If you want to play, we're in playing an A, the fast one. Or not. Maybe. Shabbat Shalom.
Nice to meet you. Wednesday. Good. Nice days.
Yeah, I wanted to see.
Was he here when it snowed?
Well, I didn't realize it in snow, but my newspaper was wet. So, yes.
I was wondering, I was gonna say, gosh, you know, maybe he was here for the 80 degrees and then for the snow the next day.
Well, it's supposed to be 70-something on Sunday, so.
I was just asking Andrew if you had been and seen the snow that we had.
A little bit. I was up in Idaho City today, so it was still snowing up there. That was interesting.
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing.
They have to put this back in because there's no.
You can't flow it. It's happening right now, and you can see it.
Shabbat shalom, Hava. How are you? Shabbat shalom. Are you dancing? Are you dancing?
No, the week after. It's the 28th.
Oh, wait.
But,
I'm gonna, Hava, go for 10, wait, just wait. Hava, go first.
Oh,
so you may not be about this.
so what do you do? What are you doing in track? Like how long?
There's usually 10 meters and 25 feet. And then she throws the softball.
Down.
So that's, it's interesting. They have a tennis ball and softball. Even though the tennis ball's lighter, it's harder, it's easier in real bigger.
Yeah.
A bigger thing. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
I think has a little more grab, easier to throw, a little more grab.
Something there's something. Yeah.
Joan has a track meet tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Track meets are big one.
What about penguins?
Penguins?
Penguins are not good.
Are they kosher?
No.
No.
Things that eat other sea creatures usually have to be pretty bad.
I think because the rabbits didn't know about penguins.
I know,
But I think people,
Oh, peacock is a no.
peacocks know. I think people think of them as seabirds and they conflate them with fish somehow.
I think things that eat mostly fish taste really bad.
Well, penguins are not very tasty. When you read about they ate all the
Yeah.
expeditions down there, ate them, and nobody seemed to like it very much. Yeah, the steak is mostly the food because there's 15,000 of them living on a rock.
I was going to start Skype because they tradition.
I think it's up here.
I was wondering, anybody ever, that's why
Right, they bring babies. Right. Yeah.
Ready, I think you're next because
you want to go?
I can't get to the.
I think most of the exotic.
No, I can't get to it.
The exotic.
I can't get the wheelchair to it. So you go next.
Yeah.
You mean to move that?
Yeah, there's no why.
Just go.
Yeah.
Tell you what we're going to do is put the chair back.
Now I have to get Dad in his chair, so go, just take her down.
Oh, well, if you move a second, I'll just put it, I'm here now. That's what you want us to
Well, I
head
know,
down?
I have to get Dad and it takes a minute.
We will. I'll send it back up.
Yeah.
April before March of that.
Wow.
I like your
Am I right? You don't have to worry.
You know, did I tell you how I went? Yeah. All the towns under.
I know, remember you kept telling me to find a teacher. This is the only way I can
Thanks for
go on,
coming.
because I have a lesson to have to practice.
There you go.
Very
I
nice.
tried to do it online. And I got one today, you know, it's the best song. So, you know, I'm getting, let me give you all the cake tonight. Here, I'm gonna give you all the, oh my God.
We had a lovely time.
Yeah.
They're down.
Sorry.
Take care, Eddie.
Yeah, well, I would like to go someplace closer.
I can't figure out the place close.
Eddie?
No. I want a decent meal. If I'm gonna spend that kind of money, I want a decent meal.
Family stay healthy? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good.
I didn't drive, but Josh will drive.
It's very carby.
What?
It's very carby.
It's not that carby.
Yeah, it is.
Spaghetti is the only thing carby in the whole thing. And carbies can be controlled. I really don't want Mexican food
What
today.
about Chinese? What about stuffed cabbage from home?
No. It's not done.
I just had to put it in the microwave?
No, what'll happen is you'll roast the outside and the inside might not get done.
I was gonna put it in the microwave.
Even in the microwave. Come on, elevator. Josh can drive. He's here. You don't have to come down this week. Go the other way.
Getting there. We're approaching the first floor.